There are tons of secrets and Easter eggs to find in Final Fantasy 16. From secret items that can drop from bosses, references to earlier Final Fantasy titles, and a potential tease towards a DLC, and way more. Let's start with the Medals of Valor. These are special medallions that only drop when you defeat a boss without being hit once. They're not available for every boss, only for the last bosses in a story chapter, so fights like the Midnight Raven and Benedicta. But luckily, you can earn these in stage replay, meaning you can come back to an early game fight with late game icons and much better gear, which makes getting them that much easier. Remember though, if you get hit once, you won't be able to earn the medal and have to try again. Unfortunately, these are just for bragging rights, they don't do anything, but it is pretty cool that there is a secret reward that you'll only discover if you manage to defeat a boss without being hit. And if you want to get the Platinum trophy, you'll need to get at least one of these medals, as these are what unlock the You're Not the Boss of Me trophy. And on the note of trophies, there is one that's super easy to get that I completely missed, called Eureka. This one has you spend 36,000 gil at the Tub and Crown, which is the tavern in the hideaway. This feature can be accessed after unlocking the new hideaway location and is right next to where Charon is selling her wares. Now you can buy a drink for Clive, which will cost you 500 gil, but this doesn't do much. Believe me, I tried getting him drunk, but apparently being a dominant makes you immune to alcohol. So instead, we want to treat the whole haul to a round for 10,000 gil. This makes it much quicker to reach the required 36,000 for the trophy, and of course remember that you can save before doing this and then reload your save after, so you don't actually lose any money. If you'd rather spend your money on something that will actually be of use, did you know there's an item in the game that can effectively grant you a revive in combat? This aptly named Last Elixir can revive you after taking a fatal hit, bringing you back with full health, a full limit break meter, and an attack and defense buff that lasts for 60 seconds. In order for this effect to trigger, you do need to have the elixir slotted in your quick use item. Simply having it in your inventory will not trigger it. If you do have it slotted in your quick use, it will automatically trigger once your health reaches 0, after which a little animation plays out and you're immediately back in the fight. Now this item only becomes available for purchase from Charon after the Fire in the Sky main quest at the pretty expensive price of 20,000 gil. But there is one huge caveat you need to keep in mind when it comes to using this item. You can only buy one. Ever. I tried using mine and coming back to the store to see if another one had become available, but no, once you buy the last elixir, it is permanently sold out. You can carry one with you to New Game Plus, and I assume you can buy a second there once you finish the required main quest, but still, having only a single use of this item in your entire playthrough kind of sucks. Other shops I visited don't even offer the item, you can only buy one, and just from Charon. And I got more secrets and Easter eggs to go over, but if you like the Final Fantasy 16 coverage here on the channel, then leaving a like would of course be amazing, and subscribe for more videos on the game. Now something they added post-launch that you might have missed can be found under the graphics settings. We can now change the strength of the motion blur effect in game. It's normally on the maximum, which is 5, so if you want to turn that effect down a little bit, you can simply change the motion blur to a lower setting. That 1.3 update added more useful things like additional control schemes that you see right here, so I'll leave a link to the patch notes in the video description. And on the note of controls, did you know there's a trick you can do that allows your Chocobo to drift? While traveling on the back of your trusty mount is already a lot faster than walking, you can make it even faster if you drift around corners to give yourself a little speed boost. The way you do this is by holding R2 to sprint and then steer either left or right before pressing L2 while still holding R2. Instead of pulling the bird into a full brake, this will instead make him jog in place, allowing you to readjust your direction, and then as soon as you let go of L2, your Chocobo will launch itself forward. This means you can get around corners a lot faster than just sprinting through. If you by the way don't have the Chocobo yet, we have a video on how to get it and more secret items you don't want to miss, so I'll link to it in the video description. And there are also some tricks in combat that you might not know about, like the fact that some moves become more powerful if you trigger them from up high. Credits to Boomstick Gaming for this one, a link to their channel will also be in the video description. So the basic idea is that you can increase the damage of a move like down thrust that you perform by pressing X and square while in the air by getting Clive higher up into the air. So for instance, just jumping and smashing down results in 390 damage. But if I jump, then increase my height with the Garuda ability Wicked Wheel, and then use down thrust, the damage is actually increased to almost 600. And this change is even more apparent if you use the ability Upheaval from Titan's skill set. This is an AoE attack with a charge up mechanic, but you can bypass that completely if you use the same trick as I just explained with down thrust. So again, jump, Wicked Wheel, then use Upheaval to immediately trigger the most powerful version of this AoE slam. And while Final Fantasy XVI is a standalone title, there are many nods and Easter eggs to previous entries for fans of the series to enjoy. From the Spoonie Bard in the Hideaway being a reference to Final Fantasy IV, to the Eikon for hunt targets referencing your very first hunt in Final Fantasy XII. My favorite, however, is this little scarecrow in Martha's Rest. It looks very similar to Final Fantasy IX's Black Mage Vivi, especially the iconic hat, which is of course an interesting choice considering the rumors about a remake for Final Fantasy IX that have surfaced recently. If you want to check it out for yourself, it's located next to the obelisk in Martha's Rest. And while it's not really an Easter egg, did you notice this giant crystal-like structure off the coast of Sambrec? It's not mentioned or referenced in the story, yet it seems like an important landmark, even more so if you look at the map and realize it is in the middle of lands consumed by the Blight. Whatever happened here was big, considering from how far away we're able to see it, and it almost looks like there are crystallized splashes of water part of whatever the structure is, which fuels speculation that it is tied to one of the game's biggest unexplained mysteries, the Eikon Leviathan. Now we know very little about Leviathan. They're only mentioned once as Leviathan the Lost, and we also see a glimpse of their depiction in an ancient mural. But there are of course a lot of recurring names and themes throughout the Final Fantasy series, and Leviathan has been featured in multiple FF titles as a giant sea serpent who holds control over water. So we can assume that Valistea's Leviathan held a similar role. So how does all of that tie together? Well, the truth is that for now we simply don't know. Currently, there is no information in the game that explores these topics further, so the only option that remains is that it is a hint towards potential DLC, which is also a bit of a stretch as a month before launch the developer stated there are no current plans for DLC. That does not mean they won't change their minds if the game is received well, and if we do ever see an expansion, I am very certain that we get more information about Leviathan. But there are of course enough icons to try and master in the game already, and if you really want to prove your mastery over a specific icon, you'll want to try out the Chronolith trials. These stone pillars hidden throughout the open world look a bit like the Arete stone in the hideout, and if you come across one early in your playthrough, they don't do anything. However, after completing the story mission Fire in the Sky, you will be able to interact with these pillars and access a special time challenge that has you only use a single icon. What icon that is and what abilities you have slotted are determined by the Chronolith you interacted with. Before an encounter starts, you have time to check your slotted abilities and also see which actions give you more time bonuses. In order to complete these trials, you really want to focus on doing the actions that give you extra time, because after 3 stages, you'll need to kill a boss in the time you've collected so far. So the better you do before the boss, the more time you have to kill it. If you manage to complete one of these trials, you get several things as a reward. For one, you get an accessory that increases the damage of that particular icon's ultimate ability. And while these don't provide you with a huge damage increase, it is worth getting them for your second playthrough, as amulets can be upgraded in New Game Plus to double the bonus they give. That does mean you need to earn a second version of this item though, which might take a while. On top of the accessory, you unlock a more difficult version of the completed trial that can be accessed through the Arete stone. And finally, if you complete all of them, you will get the Circle of Malleus collectible, which is required for the Horde trophy. There are 7 of these chronoliths hidden throughout the world, and the first is one you've likely already come across, as it's very close to Martha's Rest over here on the map. There are 2 chronoliths in Sambrec, one close to the Cair Norvend River Gate over here on the map, and one close to Northreach in the corner of Cape Orshare over here. There are also 2 of these challenges hidden in Dalmacia, one in the northern Valkyrie Desert over here. And for the second one, we want to head over to this spot on the map, and while it looks close to the Crowsjet Echoes fast travel point, the quickest way to get there is actually from Leithney's Cleft. Although in order to open the path from this direction, you need to complete the quest Trading Places, which starts in Boklad over here to be precise. After that, enter the side path from the Leithney's Cleft fast travel point and head towards towards the chronolith. And the final 2 are located in Waloed, with one being located in a sneaky side path hidden in the Angry Gap over here, where you can also find the Masamune Katana we touched on in our secret items video that I will link to in the description. The final challenge is off in its own little side area next to Vidergrace and the Critten Hollow, which is over here. You can already encounter these as soon as you first reach these areas, but again, in order to activate them, you need to progress past the Fire in the Sky main mission. Let us know your favorite secrets and Easter eggs in the comments, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more videos on Final Fantasy 16. If you want, you can watch our previous one on some amazing secret items by clicking on the screen. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.